Hey, what's up, guys? So real quick look at what's sold. We're gonna get this stuff packed up and ready to take down to the post office. We've been working outside all day on the build project, the space that I'm currently building, not only for my mom to move her here and help to accommodate her a little better with her dementia, but also, of course, it's going to be a new eBay space. So we filmed some of that today. My son was helping me. His name is Trey. He has done a lot of construction in his young life. So he was up on the roof doing a little bit of shingle work for me on the porch that I added on to the end to stop the water problem. And so I'll be showing you that little part maybe in the next couple of days to get you caught up on what's going on with the build project. But anyway, for right now, we do have some sales going out. So let's take a look. All right, so this is Thursday, October the 5th. We have a total of 11 items going out today for $331.59. Decent little midweek set of sales for me. So this is, I would say, mostly from Tuesday and Wednesday. I did pick up a sale this morning. So anyhow, let's get right to it and kind of go through these. I'm going to actually go ahead and package these today as well as we go through this. All this is clothing items except for two, or technically three, I guess. There's a hat, a pair of shoes, which I guess those both are technically still in the clothing category, accessories at least. And then also probably my best sale was a Magic the Gathering first edition book. I think I've got this set up now to where you can see what I'm doing. Some resellers, they like to do one label at a time. I generally do all of mine together. It works best that way for me. I do sometimes write labels on the packages, especially for clothing, because these bags, when they're all the same basic size, it's hard to remember if I don't, of course. So I will be writing some labels down on this. So the first item, actually I need to pull this one. This is from 1P. All right, so sorry, I had to grab that one off the shelf. This is actually one of those items that sold this morning. This is a Brooks Brothers Shetland wool sweater. When I bought this last year, it's kind of an orange color, really nice. I thought I had a great find, and it is a really good item for resale. But once I got it home, I had overlooked a small hole that was in it. And so I still listed this up around $25 or $30, something like 25 to 30. I've sent out offers. I've had a few low offers. I finally just decided I was going to have to take an offer on it in order to move it because of the hole. Otherwise, I think I probably could have got $35 out of this. But I ended up taking an offer for $15, got it out the door, and so that's a good sale. Most items like this, I tend to just put in a poly mailer. And so it's very, very simple. Let's see, this one, I don't know if you have to do this or not, but when I pre-bag them in these clear poly bags, they sometimes take on some air. So squeeze some of the air out, and then it will fit a little better in the smaller bag. All right, so there we go. So that one, and I just put a little something on it to remember it by. So I'm going to do BB for Brooks Brothers, and that should be enough for that one for me to know what it is. Now, another thing that I like to do is I need to go ahead and choose my status on these. So I'm going to click to purchase shipping label. I'm going to go ahead and pull over. I use a laptop, a MacBook, to do my video editing, and also I use it for my business for shipping and other things. So I don't leave it hooked up all the time to my printer, but I plug in there to my adapter so that I'm ready to print the labels when I get them fixed up. So I've got my scale here. It operates on battery. This is one of the Accutech. You can order these off of Amazon. It's a pretty reliable scale. I've not had any problems. It measures up to 50 pounds. I rarely ever have anything that's even close to that. I mean, most of my stuff is no more than 2 or 3 pounds and then under. Though I do sometimes sell some electronics that can be kind of heavy. They still don't exceed the 50-pound mark, what I have sold at least to this point. So, let's check the weight. 12.6 ounces. So as you know, you have to round these up. So we're just going to call it 14, which really is going to go out at a 1 pound rate. We're going to use Ground Advantage. And then, of course, these bags, they're all going to measure in the same neighborhood. But if you would take a look at them, you know, this is going to be somewhere a little over 11, so we'll call it 12. It's probably more like 11, just a little under 11. But we'll call it 12 by 9 because a little over 8 that way. And then by 4. So 12 by 9 by 4. I don't know how much, other than if you get to be too large to where they charge you by a cubic rate instead of by weight. I don't know how much that matters. What I do know is that I think for the system as they you know, plot things out, it helps to have a pretty accurate size. So I try to do that. I think it maybe helps them out. And I feel like anything we can do to make that easier for them, maybe they do more for us in the end if we need it. So let's see, the next item, I'm going to save the book. It's actually next on the scroll here. But the next item we'll look at, this is a pair of Carhartt pants. Pair of Carhartt. These are kind of stained up. They're definitely just a work pant. But I got these for just a couple of bucks. So, you know, Carhartt's a good brand. And honestly, you don't want to spend too much on it. I find that while it is a good brand, you know, your nominal items in Carhartt sometimes don't bring the money that you expect them to. You know, some of the pants and things like that, you know, unless they're brand new, you're not going to get like $40, even though they have a high retail price. And so, you know, $25, $30 sometimes on the really nice ones. But a lot of times about $20, $25 if you want them to move pretty quick. Unless you promote, you know, a lot of people price them up at like, you know, $30, and then they promote and they send out coupons and discounts, and they wind up selling them for the same price. You know, I mean, I can price mine where they're going to sell at the price point, and mine will move. So I don't do promotions generally on hardly anything. I do some every so often when something sets for a long time and gets stale. And I also tend to avoid doing, I don't do a lot of coupons and things like that. I will send an offer, and I will take offers from time to time. But generally, I try to price competitively when I list an item. My goal, again, is to move inventory. You know, not at the expense of not making money or taking a loss, but definitely to move inventory. If I've got something that's just sitting, not really doing anything for me, I'm better off to see it go out the door and buy something that's going to make better money for me. All right, the next item, this is a good example of that. I gave a couple of bucks for this. Here, I get the right one. Here it is, LL Bean. This is a long sleeve polo. And I forgot to tell you, on the Carhartt pants, I actually took, let's see, I took an offer of $12 on those. Had them listed at $15 because, again, they were really bad stained up on the legs. So here we go. This is, again, an LL Bean polo, long sleeve. We're going to put it in one of the peach colored bags, a little bit smaller ones. I think it'll go in there no problem. I try to use the smaller bags when I can because they don't cost quite as much. So, I mean, even though it's just pennies, over the course of the year, if you're saving 4 or 5 cents on every bag, you know, that when you use a small one versus a large one, then it kind of adds up, you know. And I mean, I know that that's just a few dollars there, but everywhere that you save a couple of dollars is a good thing. So on this one, I'm gonna put LL Bean. It's the only LL Bean item I've got going out today. So LL Bean. And I took an offer of $7 on that shirt. I didn't have it priced up much, like $12.99. When I looked them up, I pulled this out of a bin when I was buying for like $2. And, you know, I thought it being long sleeve that it might be worth a little more, but it was just a medium. Had it been a larger size, I could have got probably, you know, maybe like $12, $15 for it. But I just took the offer, let it go. I didn't make much on it, a couple of bucks, but that's okay. I don't really care on that particular item. It's not one that I had a lot into or that I was depending on to drive the business. So moving on. Now these are usually really good. I don't know if you pick these up yourself normally, but these polo t-shirts, I love these myself. I've got 6 or 7 of them that I've kept that I really enjoy wearing. They fit me really good. I'm kind of a bigger guy, you know, just kind of broad-shouldered and thick. And so a lot of times certain t-shirt brands, they just kind of pull at me and they don't fit well. But these polo t-shirts, I really don't have a thing for name brands. but I just happened to try one on because, I get them pretty cheap. And I just love the way they felt and the way they fit me. They fit me really nice. And so I understand why people like them. But when you go to the store and you go to a place where they sell Polo brand, these little t-shirts are just cotton t-shirts. They sell for like 55 bucks and up, depending on the style, if it's got a pocket or not, if it's long sleeve, short sleeve, that kind of thing. Well, this is an XLT, extra large tall, so this is from the big and tall section. Most of the time on these, if I get them at the thrift store, I'll pay $5.99, sometimes $6.99. I think every now and then there's been one that was $8. If it's really nice and one I think I can get $25 for, I might do that. But generally, I'd also pick these up at some of the local thrift shops where I can get them for $2.50, $3, sometimes $2. I got 2 or 3 local ones that are smaller mom and pop type shops, and they just kind of sell everything at a set rate. So anyway, just a very basic short sleeve XLT polo shirt, and I got $19.99, 20 bucks for this. And I think I think this one come from the thrift store, so I probably had about $5, maybe $6 in this one, but a pretty good sale. As long as I can double my money on a clothing item, I'm pretty happy. And I do sell a lot of clothing items because, as I've told you before, for me, clothing items tend to be a lot easier to source. So I end up buying a lot of them. Man, I love selling toys and I love selling video games, just like a lot of other people. I like vintage things, but it's just so hard to find enough inventory for me right now if that's all that I do. I hope that I find better connections, and I'm getting better at finding new ways to source and to get inventory that I enjoy more and that has greater value. But you need things that sell. These sell really well, so I do like picking these up, especially when I can get them for $5 or less. I bought like 4 of these at a yard sale the other day for $2 each, and I'm going to do really good on those because I know I can move them for $18 to $20. All right, so I'm just going to put Polo on this. It's the only Polo branded item that I've got going out. And the next item on the list, okay, so this is a really cool item. I do like selling denim. If I was going to pick an item of clothing that I kind of focused on, it would probably be like vintage t-shirts and maybe vintage, I do like the brush poppers. I've heard me talk about them before. The old vintage Wranglers and stuff like that with the really cool colors and Aztec prints. But I also really like the vintage denim. I really find that it's really cool. These are some 505 Levi's, but these are orange tab. Likely at least from the 80s. It's possible, I guess they could be 70s, but I think it's 80s. I've done a lot of reading on Levi's, man, and on how to date them, and I'm pretty decent at it when I got all the tags in front of me. But after you package up a bunch of this stuff and put it in the plastic, man, it's just hard to remember on an item by item basis what each one was. But definitely vintage, and orange tab Levi's of whatever designation are generally pretty popular. So that pair of Levi's, I gave $5 for those at a local resale shop, just like I don't even know what to call it. It's really interesting, just a neat place in a local town where they do kind of like consignments, but their prices are really good. And I gave $5 for them, and I sold these for $30. So that was a good flip. I'm just going to call these Levi's because it's the only pair of Levi's going out today. All right, moving on. Get some of these strips out of the way. All right, next item up. So this is a pair of Bimini Bay cargo or hiking shorts, Bimini Bay. Really nice olive green color. So in general, cargo shorts in the men's sizes do pretty well. Or in the men's section, not necessarily sizes. I guess if it's men's, it's a man's size. But cargo shorts do really well. Of course, we're coming up on the end of summer, so that stuff will probably start slowing down a little bit. But I actually purchased these because I liked them. And I was hoping they would fit me, but they were just a little bit snugger than I like. And so I wound up listing them. This is not a brand I would ordinarily pick up or source for resale. But I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and list them. I felt like I could move them if I priced them cheap, get my money back, plus maybe a couple of bucks. And that's pretty much what I did. Like I said, I just really liked these myself. I took an offer on these. See, I sold these for $9. I think I had them listed for like $12.99. I gave $5 for them. I think it was $4.99. So, I'm not making a bunch of money on these by no means. $5 into $9. I mean, I'm probably just about breaking even, but I didn't lose the money that I spent on them. And like I said, it was really for a personal use item when I bought them. It just didn't work out for me. All right, so let's take a look at what else we got today. So it's a lot of clothes. I mean, I really like when I sell stuff besides clothes, but you know, it's good to make sales, so I'm not going to complain too much. Let's take a look here. We've got a pair of Under Armour golf pants. So here we go. Just a nice khaki Under Armour golf pant. And these, same thing. I got these at my local thrift shop. They were $2.50, and I sold these for $20. So $2.50 into $20, guys, you can't beat that. You know, I mean, you just can't pass up those kinds of opportunities. So I go in there. It's so funny. Look, I'll psych myself up saying, look, I'm not going to buy a bunch of stuff I don't need. I've got so many clothes that need to be listed already. And then I go in there, and they'll have, it's almost like the bins in a way. They got these little places in the back where they just dump clothes out. And you just go through, you dig and dig and dig like you do at the bins to find the good stuff. And so I'll get in there, and they'll have a bunch of new stuff out, and I can't help myself but to go start digging. And even though these aren't like, you know, extreme bolos, like, oh, you gotta have this, like designer brands or something like that, they're just good money makers. And so it's so hard to pass them up. And I wind up buying way more than I intend to. And here I am, I've been doing this, and I haven't been doing the weighing. All right, next item. Here we go. That's my son coming in. I left him out there at the end of the job today to finish up the last few ridge caps. But this last item is a polo, not polo brand, but a polo shirt. This is an Under Armour brand polo shirt with a Starbucks emblem on it. This is embroidered, very nice. I really liked this when I saw it myself. There's so many people that are huge fans of Starbucks, and plus, of course, you got the employee thing. I thought it would do real well. It's an extra large. I gave $5.99 for this. I sold it for $15. Didn't make a lot off of it, but I just felt like when I saw it, it'd be a cool item to have in the store. And as I suspected, it did sell pretty quickly. I don't think this was listed more than 3 weeks before it sold. I had another one of these I sold the other day that had Pepsi embroidered on it. I think it was a Nike golf shirt, golf polo. And it also sold pretty quick. Anytime you find those types of items, they tend to do pretty well. So we're going to just put star on this one. All right. Okay, so 3 more items still left to get ready to go out. The first one that I'm going to do is a hat. This is a crushable hat. Life is Crap. You may have seen these sometimes in some of the shops where you go on vacation. It's kind of like a spin-off of the Life is Good stuff, but it's always something kind of funny. In this case, you know, the hiker getting rained on and lightning striking. So with my hats, if it's crushable, I typically use these 6x6x6 boxes. I buy these at Walmart. I don't know about you. I'm almost at the point I'm ready to start buying my pasteboard boxes, my brown boxes in bulk. I just haven't yet got to that point. So what I do is every so often, I mean every so many days at least, I would guess 2 times a month, I will pick some up at Walmart. And I'll pick up the 6x6x6 boxes, especially for hats. And so Walmart carries about 4 different sizes of basic shipping boxes. And you know, it just kind of depends on what your preference is or what your item is. And so I'm going to slide this down in a poly bag. I usually, even when I'm shipping a hat, I try to at least put it in a poly bag. I just like the way that looks. I think it's more professional, and I think it is important to try to be professional. I think eBay appreciates that. I was listening to, watching a video, I think it was last night, and they were talking about the authentication program and how they've expanded that. But they said that they were at an event and talking to one of the eBay people, and said when they first started doing that for the watches, that the first watch they received in the authentication program was a Rolex. And that Rolex came packaged and wrapped up in an unused, as they said, thank goodness, an unused baby diaper. I was like, what the heck, man? I mean, you're selling a Rolex and you can't afford to go out and get some decent packaging materials after you sell it. I mean, come on, man. Pathetic. And I mean, I can't imagine how eBay feels, you know. Here they have their authentication department and people are having to open these packages and inspect them and make sure that they are what they're supposed to be. And they open it up and they see a baby diaper. And of all the things to find inside of it, a Rolex. All right, so there's the hat. And even though I will remember this one most likely, I'm just going to write hat on top of the box. Again, this helps me when it's time to do the labels. So the next item going out, this is going to be a pair of shoes. Did I tell you on the hat what I got for it? I don't think I did. Let's go back really quick. This is the first item that I sold for this little group, I think. I sold this hat for $9.45. $9.45. So not too bad. You know, most time hats, I've told you this before, but you know, you try to spend as little as possible. I'll give $3 or $4 for a hat if it's a really good hat that I know that I'm going to make good profit on. But for the most part, I try to keep it to $2 or less, preferably $1 or less. I love those sales, man, where hats are like 50 cents or a quarter and they're in pretty good shape, and it's hats that I know I can resell. Like I said, next item is a pair of shoes. These are Dansko. They're really pretty. This pattern on these are like brand new. I don't know that these are, I really don't know that these are even worn. Just fabulous condition. I don't know how well you can see them on the camera, but these are a size 40, so a decently large size. I think about a 9, 9.5 in US numbers. But anyhow, this is called a linen pattern, and it's like multicolored. It's like purples and blues and silvers. Really nice Danskos. I had these listed up a little bit. I think I had these listed at $54.99 maybe. I can't remember. You'll see. Maybe it's $59.99. But I listed them up a little, just trying to see what I could get for them. Had a lot of interest. I finally took an offer at $42. I started to counter back at like, you know, $45 or $50 and just see what happened. But I find that a lot of times, man, when people give you a pretty decent offer, if it's something you're willing to take, a lot of times they've thought through it and they're already giving you their best offer. And when you try to, try to come back at them with a counter, you won't even get a response. You just lose the sale. And while I might have sold these tomorrow for my full asking price, you can't never know that. So it was just good to make the sale. So for these, I'm also using a box that I purchased at Walmart. This is an 11 by 7.5 by 5.5. Now, do know this, that when you buy boxes, whether you source them, whether you order them yourself, or you buy them at a packaging store, or at Walmart, Home Depot, wherever, that the dimensions that are written on the outside of the box often are not completely accurate. So, that being said, take this one a little better because of the shoes. These are pretty heavy. That being said, always be careful and double check your measurements when you're getting ready to do your shipping, so you make sure you don't have something inaccurate that's going to cost you on the back side. All right, so give me just a second. All right, so I don't know what you typically do, but usually when I'm shipping shoes, I tend to use just some basic packaging paper. So I will roll the shoe like so. Set this one in there. What I try to prevent is having, especially this type, this patent leather, having the shoes scrub against each other. I'm always worried that might cause them to show some wear that they didn't have. And these actually, you know, are basically new without the box. These are like brand new shoes. So then I'm going to set this other one down in the box with it. And this is a pretty snug fit in this box, which is really a good thing. Less paper you have to add. And I'm sending these Ground Advantage because, actually, let me check. Something that I've learned since they've changed this up. Well, I've got a mouse somewhere, guys. There it is. So something I've learned since they changed up the shipping and added Ground Advantage is that, all right, I've got to find a place I can get this to work. Sometimes my mouse wants to be ornery and lose its connection. So let's see if that works. Yeah, I guess if the mouse ain't gonna work, we'll use the mouse pad here. So what I was gonna say is sometimes now you do need to check and make sure that Ground Advantage is actually the cheapest price. I have noticed that since they renegotiated with UPS, that UPS ground is sometimes a few cents cheaper. I don't really prefer to use that if it's not more than, if it's just like 8 or 10 cents, you know, I just don't mess with it. And I know what I said earlier about the envelopes, but that's just something that's so seldom that it's an issue. Like on this item, it's showing me that UPS ground would be $8.61 and ground advantage with USPS is $8.75. So that's what, 14 cents difference. That's actually a decent amount. I just don't have a close UPS drop-off, and so it's sometimes kind of inconvenient for me. But what I've also noticed is sometimes priority, if it's a nearby shipment, will also be less than the ground advantage. Sometimes it'll just be $7.20, which will beat ground advantage by a little bit. On this particular item, that's not the case. So we're going to go ahead and finish packaging this. It will go out at the ground advantage rate. Double the tape up on this one again. I know some people love that really wide tape, and I'm sure it's nice. But look, I'm still in that penny pinching, money saving space in my head. So, you know, I try to look for deals. This is tape that I purchased from Tape King. I still don't have a regular source that I use for all my packaging materials. I hear from all these other resellers, and especially about like American Bubble Boy, of course, at one time Supply Hut, before the controversy over the some of the supplies was very popular. A lot of people talk about Uline for their boxes. So I know there's great sources out there, and eventually I will get to that. But for right now, I'm still just kind of trudging along the way I'm going. And hopefully when I get some more space to work in and can get this operation moved out of the house, that can happen for me. All right, here we go. Last item. Now this is a vintage item, and it's a book. It's media. But man, I was tickled to make this sell. I've had this for a while. I bought this at the local thrift store, a local town called America's Thrift Store. They had a whole collection of these that it came in, and they pulled them, and I hated that they realized what they were. Sometimes they find this stuff, sometimes they don't. So I had to pay up for these. I forget exactly what I paid for all of them. There was probably 15 Magic the Gathering books from the first editions from the early cycle. You see this one is The Brothers War, the Artifact Cycle, Book 1. This is a first edition, first printing of this book in a paperback. Very cool title. I remember when I was a kid, I never got into Magic the Gathering too much, but I did have a friend who was very much into this series and loved the cards. We would play when I would go to his house. He loved to play the game, and so we would play sometimes. And so I do have a little connection to it. So I thought it was cool when I ran across these. I knew they had value. I actually left one little series on the shelf because it was overpriced. The rest of them were priced to where I knew I could get some resale value out of them. And I've already gotten my money back and started making profit. I still got one set, plus I had two other books. This is one of them. This one is going out the door today for $45. I sent out an offer. I had it listed at I think $49.99. I sent out an offer for $45, and they took it. Took them a day or so, but they eventually accepted the offer. So what I normally do, since this is an item that has value beyond, it's not just your basic media. If it was basic media, especially if it was hardback, I would probably just throw it in a bubble mailer and not worry about it. But since it's not the case, just a second. Sorry, I was looking for my utility knife. Since that was not the case with this particular book, this is a very collectible book, I am going to be very careful how I package it. So what I typically do with an item like this, I will custom cut and fit a piece of cardboard around it to sturdy it up. And then I will still wrap it very neatly and very tightly in some other material, maybe a little bit of bubble wrap. I also use shrink wrap sometimes to kind of secure it snugly so it doesn't get bent possibly in shipment. Something like that, and you see how that begins to look. So I'm going to put a nice little wrap of cardboard around this. So just like that, see? Very, very nice, a snug fit. And so then what I want to do is put a little tape around that. So I want to make sure I've got it secured, so it's not leaving that dressing. I don't feel the need to fold the ends on this like if it was something that could be crushed, because it is paper. It's not going to just like have a weight set on it and get crushed like that. So I think that's sturdy enough as it is that way. Now the next thing, like I said, that I am going to do, I'm going to get one little sheet of bubble wrap. This is the little bit bigger bubbles. That's why I'm just doing one. And so what I tend to do, it usually works better on something about this size, if you set it up like a diamond, okay? That gives you good coverage of the ends. And then when you wrap it all together, you get complete coverage around the box. Now, I'm going to put a small piece of tape to hold that in place. Pull it all back together like I had it. Usually pull the tape first. Just a small piece of tape. All right, so there we go. And then I will finish, again, just to kind of secure this a little better. I like using shrink wrap. I don't know how many of you use shrink wrap. I might have got this from my dad. I mentioned this in one of my early videos. My dad started selling on eBay back in the 90s when it was still pretty young. He was retired and he had had some health problems and he wasn't able to work a regular job. He had retired from the military years before and then had worked some other stuff. But anyway, I know this looks crazy, but trying to get going in the right directions here. All right, so I just try to package these with care, thinking what would I want it to be like when I get it. If I'm buying a nearly $50 paperback that's, you know, 30 something years old. So there we go, got that ready. And then I will still drop it in a bubble mailer and I will fold that up, a big bubble mailer. All right, so here's the bubble mailer. I'm putting the copy of the book inside of it now. Of course, the shrink wrap causes it to stick a little, you know, clean to the bubble wrap. And once I get that in there, you know, it's kind of folded around like so, okay? And then it ends up having a pretty thick layer of protection. At least I feel like it's well protected. And that's how it will go out, just like that right there. All right, so that's about all. Again, today 11 sales going out, good profit, over $300 of total sales. I haven't figured up yet what my actual net profit would be on this. I still don't do a good job of preparing for that before I start videoing. And today I was very, very busy doing other things. So I'm kind of in a hurry. I think I got about 30 minutes to get this to the post office. So I'm gonna jump off of here and I'll see you on the next video. God bless you. God loves you. I love you. Take care and see you next time.